Hello boys. Today we're going to be learning about how to use direct object pronouns in French. So by the end of the lesson you will be able to explain to me what a direct object pronoun is, how do we use it, and why we use it. Let's get started. So in a nutshell, what is a direct object pronoun? Well, a direct object pronoun is a word that takes the place of the noun in the sentence. So now we know what a direct object pronoun is. We need to know when to use it, don't we? Now, we use direct object pronouns when, first of all, we've already talked about the main subject, so it could be someone or something previously mentioned in the conversation, and you just don't want to repeat yourself multiple times. It's also a fancy way of shortening our sentences to make them easier to read. What do they look like? Well, you will have seen all of these ones before. We've got me, which looks like me in English. We have te, which means you. Le, which we use for masculine words that are singular. We have la, for feminine words that are singular. Then we have nous. Now we have seen nous multiple times. It replaces we, or us. Then we have vous. Now remember, we use vous when we are talking about you, and we're speaking formally, or for plural words. And les, for plural words in the third person form. So we've figured out what our direct object pronouns look like and why we use them. Now it gets to the slightly trickier part, and that is where we put the direct object pronoun in the actual sentence. So in sentences, when we want to use a direct object pronoun, we put it in between the subject and the verb. That's why it's really important to understand what the subject is and where the verb is as well in the sentence. So if we look at our example, we have got Je regarde Guillaume. I am watching William. But what if I want to say I am watching him? Then I will say Je le regarde. In this case, the le replaces Guillaume. Guillaume is a singular word talking about a boy called William, so that is why I'm using le in this case. See how I've put the le in between the subject, which is je, and the verb regarde. What about when there's more than one person, though? Does that make it a bit trickier? Not really. Let's have a look. Our next one, il cherche Maxime et Nicole. He is looking for Maxime and Nicole. So here we have got our subject, which is il, he, our verb, which is cherche, and then Maxime et Nicole. Now we want to say he is looking for them. So since Maxime and Nicole, it is more than one person. We're not talking about us. We're not saying you as a group. We want him to say they. And in this case, we're going to be using les. So we'll say il les cherche. See how here again we have put the les in between the subject and the verb. Okay, so we've looked at a couple of examples, and here are a few more, just to reinforce what we've already looked at. So our first one, je regarde la télé. I'm watching TV. I want to say I'm watching it. So what I'll do is, because we've got a la here, that gives you a clue that we're actually going to be using la as a direct object pronoun. And we're going to put it between the subject and the verb. Je la regarde. Here the la is taking the place of la télé. Je parle avec le prof de français. I am speaking with the French teacher. Say I am speaking to him, or I am speaking to the teacher. I'll say je le parle. I speak to him. Okay? So all of this avec le prof de français, that gets condensed into le. That's one we've seen already. Il cherche Maxime et Franck. Il les cherche. He is looking for them. The les replaces Maxime et Franck. Nous mangions la pizza. La pizza goes in here, becomes a la. Nous la mangeons. Our next question. Vous préférez le chocolat? Do you prefer chocolate? I would say, do you prefer it? Vous le préférez. Le chocolat becomes le. Remember, the direct object pronoun will always come between the subject and the verb. Our next one. Tu achètes la robe et les bottes. Are you buying the dress and the boots? So here I've got two items of clothing. I want to say, are you going to buy them? So I replace it with le. Tu les achètes. Elle parle à toi. Is she speaking to you? We change it to elle te parle. She's speaking to you. Remember the toi or tu becomes a te. Last one, je connais Guillaume. I know Boone. Becomes je le connais. I know him. We're finally going to be looking at how we use the direct object pronouns when we are speaking in the negative form. So remember in French, if we're making something using the negative, we need to have a ne and a pas added into our sentence. And these go around the verb. So, when we have a direct object pronoun, what happens then? Well, the rule still stays the same. So what we have is we will have our subject, je. After the subject, we always need to have our ne. That's the first indicator that the sentence is going to be negative. After the ne, we will have our direct object pronoun. In this case, I've done L' because our verb starts with a vowel. So, je ne l'aime, and then finishing off with the pas. Je ne l'aime pas. I do not like it, I do not like him, for example. Next one. Il ne te parle pas. Subject, first part of our negative. Then we've got a direct object pronoun. Remember, the direct object pronoun will always come before the verb. Then we have our verb parle, and we finish it off with pas. Our last part. Elle ne nous regarde pas. She is not watching us. Elle is our subject. Ne, first part of our negative. Nous, that's we or us. Regarde pas. And that, monsieur, is how we use direct object pronouns in French.